Recurrent injuries, why are they happening? Stretching is not the answer for this, and this is what I hear time and time again in my clinic. Recurrent injuries can happen for a plethora of reasons. We can't prevent all injuries, but what we can do is certainly bring the risk down in these buckets. Part one, training load and managing your match time. So in elite sport, we've got this easy. We've got GPS data, we've got essentially watches, all the information at our disposal to help players and coaches make decisions around training time and playing time. At grassroots level, at academy level, you've got it really, really hard. It's a really tough one to get this right. And sometimes you're not going to know until an injury's occurred what someone's tolerance is. But I would probably use time. So in terms of understanding players' capacity, we've got screening that we can do, and we can find out if someone's got more risk or less risk to more training and playing time. Those athletes that get identified as probably a bit more risky, we potentially would rotate them a little bit more during games, and we'd potentially try and build up their capacity with extra speed work, extra training to build those qualities. It's not just about the gym. It's about being out on the field, doing sprints, doing work with the ball, building up your endurance capacity, your speed capacity. Your endurance capacity is a big part of this, not just speed. But speed is where we tend to see those injuries. All right, so first of all, build the capacity, build the engine, and then we build the force and the frame around it, the chassis, if you like. So that's how we would try and help build up more training load and more match time over a period. From my experience in elite sport, you've got to react to how an athlete's feeling. And that could be muscle soreness, it could be fatigue. All these things we can help you with building up a little bit of information to make good decisions about whether that person or that athlete can continue with the training regime and the match regime that's been put in place. When I talk about managing time, there's lots of things that we have to manage. That's time on feet. So that could just be quite easily, right, when that player steps on the pitch and when they step off, that's your time that you're accumulating. You can also look at, if you want to get a bit more detail, exposure to speed. So you've got time plus a magnitude of how many high speed exposures have they got. Now this requires someone to watch a player or at least understand what the training plan is. So at least you can figure out, okay, how long are they physically spending on their feet? How many sprints are they doing, or how many minutes of sprinting are they doing? And you can come up with a fairly arbitrary number to figure out a training load for that particular session. And you can add this up over time. The other part of time is actually recovery time, and we're going to talk about recovery next. Recovery is probably the most underestimated or the most undervalued part of an athlete's week. All right, recovery is really where the magic happens. All right, so all week you're training, all week you're pushing hard. The adaptation from that training is only going to be as good as the recovery strategy that's in place. And recovery can mean offload from what you're doing. It can mean relative offload. So you're working a different part of the body, a different energy system. It can also mean good nutrition. I'm not a nutritionist, but we have experts who can help with making sure that your recovery through gaining the right amount of calories and micronutrients for the best recovery for you as a player, whether that's recovery from an injury or whether that's recovery just from the session itself. All right, so there's lots and lots of things that we can do around recovery. It doesn't mean just resting the whole time. Like I said, it's just working with coaches, practitioners to come up with a good recovery strategy around key sessions in the week. So on the theme of recurring injuries, I mentioned about programming. A good program can only be really set if some good initial screenings done to identify where a player's weaknesses, strengths, areas of development could be. Now, in regards to the injury risk, we would pick out some key markers within the screen. That will be range of movement, capacity, which just means your endurance capacity, local muscular endurance, force and strength, how many newtons of force are you putting in the ground to rebound back, to move across the ground quicker. So all those three things we'd have a look at. We then put a program in place. So if we're talking about recurring injuries, if let's say I've got a player coming into my clinic with recurring hamstring injuries, I'd be looking at not just the hamstring strength, but all the contributing muscles that can help hip extension, which is what the hamstring does, or knee flexion, another role of the hamstring. Now, the hamstring does this at varying speeds, at varying lengths, but it's got a few friends to help out around the hip and around the knee and around the foot and ankle that can actually offset the hamstring demand. So it's not just about how strong is my hamstring, It's also about how well does that hamstring work with the adductors, the glutes, and in some cases the calf, to actually propel across the ground. Because if you put in so much demand through the hamstring, you might have a really strong hamstring. You just might have other parts of the body and the system not really up to speed with that really strong hamstring, and that can be a reason why. The other reason why is you've just got really weak hamstrings. We would try and identify that within a screen and put your program in place. One program for one person isn't going to work for another person. It all depends on their individual needs and their individual positions at times as well. Okay, we've been talking a lot about recurring injuries there. Hopefully you found that useful. If you would like more information on reducing your injury risk, please feel free to get in touch using the links below.